Aaron! Long time no see. Are you working the night shift too? Okay, well, let's do coffee later if you have the time. You do? Oh, that sounds perfect. I have one last patient to check in on, and then I'll meet you there. Yeah, it's pretty sad. They've been in a coma for about a month now. One call from the parents, and that's it. It kind of makes your blood boil, right? I mean, adult or not, how could you not visit your child when they're in hospital? Nah, I don't really believe that. I think they still, on some level, know that you're there. And even if they're not able to, even if they don't know you're there, what if they wake up? Wouldn't you want to be next to them then? I mean, sending flowers is nice and all, but it's not the same as sitting next to someone and holding their hand and actually, I don't know, being there for them. Yeah, I know, don't get involved. I'm just saying. I should go, but I'll meet you in the cafe later, okay? All right. How are we doing today? Your wounds are healing pretty nicely. I'm just gonna clean this one up a bit again. I hope you don't mind. I guess if there's one good thing about, well, your coma, is that you probably don't feel that much pain right now. Because this thing really stings sometimes, trust me. I'm like the clumsiest person ever, so this is always in my cabinet. You know, I hope the person who did this to you rots in the deepest parts of hell. And I know it's not my place to say so, I don't believe what they told the police. That you fell? I was there when they made their statement. You know, I heard everything. I didn't believe a lick of it. I'll never understand how those people sleep at night knowing they did this to someone. But don't worry. This is a safe space. And there. You're all clean. Is the new pillow comfy? I hope so. If you want another one, you can just squeeze my hand. Can you feel my hand on yours? You know, everyone in the hospital has a different standpoint on your condition. You know, even the doctors, the nurses. Aaron thinks you don't know I'm here. I disagree, because sometimes one of your fingers twitches, or I swear I can see the corners of your lips move. Maybe it's my imagination, but I think you're ready to wake up soon. Until then, I actually have some time. Should we continue reading where we left off? Mrs. Dalloway said that she would buy the flowers herself. For Lucy had her work cut out for her. The doors would have to be taken off their hinges, Rumpelmayer's men were coming, and then, thought Clarissa Dalloway, what a morning. Fresh as if issued to children on a beach. It is Los Angeles. It is 1949. Laura Brown is trying to lose herself. No, that's not it exactly. She is trying to keep herself by gaining entry into a parallel world. She lays the book face down on her chest. Already her bedroom, no, their bedroom, feels more densely inhabited, more actual, because a character named Mrs. Dalloway is on her way to buy flowers. Laura glances at the clock on the nightstand. It's well past 7. Why did she buy this clock, this hideous thing, with its square green face and a rectangular black Blake-like sarcophagus? How could she have ever thought it was smart? She should not be permitting herself to read, not this morning of all mornings, not on Dan's birthday. She should be out of bed, showered and dressed, fixing breakfast for Dan and Richie. She can hear them downstairs, her husband making his own breakfast, ministering to Richie. She should be there, shouldn't she? She should be standing before the stove in her new robe, full of simple, encouraging talk. Still, when she opened her eyes a few minutes ago, after 7 already, when she still had half inhabited her dream, some sort of pulsing machinery in the remote distance, a steady pounding, like a gigantic mechanical heart, which seemed to be drawing nearer. She felt the dank sensation around her, the nowhere feeling, and knew it was going to be a difficult day. She knew she was going to have trouble believing in herself in the rooms of her house, and when she glanced over at this new book on her nightstand, stacked atop the one she finished last night, she reached for it automatically, as if reading were the singular and obvious first task of the day, the only viable way to negotiate the transit from sleep to obligation. Because she is pregnant, she has allowed these lapses. She is allowed, for now, to read unreasonably, to linger in bed, to cry or grow furious over nothing. She will make up for breakfast by baking down the perfect birthday cake, by ironing the good cloth, by setting a big bouquet of flowers, roses, in the middle of the table and surrounding it with gifts. That should compensate, shouldn't it? She will read one more page to calm and locate herself, and then she'll get out of bed. What a lark! What a plunge! For so it had always seemed to her when, with a little squeak of the hinges, which she could hear now, she had burst open the French windows and plunged at Burton into the open air. How fresh! How calm! Stiller than this, of course. The air was in the early morning, like the flap of a wave, the kiss of a wave, chill and sharp, and yet, for a girl of 18 as she then was, solemn, feeling as she did, standing there at the open window, that something awful was about to happen. Looking at the flowers, at the trees with the smoke winding off of them and the rooks rising, falling, standing and looking until Peter Walsh said, "Musing among the vegetables." Was that it? I prefer men to have cauliflowers. Was that it? He must have said it at breakfast one morning when she had gone out to the terrace. Peter Walsh. He would be back from India one of these days, June or July, she forgot which, for his letters were awfully dull. It was his sayings one remembered. His eyes, his pocket-knife, his smile, his grumpiness, and when millions of things had utterly vanished, how strange it was. A few sayings like this about cabbages. She inhales deeply. It is so beautiful. It is so much more than, well, almost anything, really. In another world, she might have spent her whole life reading. But this is the new world, the rescued world, and there's not much room for loneliness. So much has been risked and lost, so many have died. Less than 5 years ago, Dan himself was believed to have died at Anzio, and when he was revealed 2 days later to be alive after all, he and some poor boy from Arcadia had the same name, it seemed he had been resurrected. He seemed to have returned, still sweet-tempered, still smelling like himself from the realm of the dead. The stories you heard then about Italy, about Saipan and Okinawa, about Japanese mothers who killed their children and themselves rather than be taken prisoner. And when he came back to California, he was received as something more than an ordinary hero. He could, in the words of his own alarmed mother, have had anyone. Any pageant winner, any vivacious and compliant girl. But through some obscure and possibly perverse genius he had kissed, courted, and proposed to his best friend's older sister, the bookworm, the foreign-looking one with the dark, close-set eyes and the Roman nose, who had never been sought after or cherished, who had always been left alone to read. What could she say but yes? How could she deny a handsome, good-hearted boy, practically a member of the family, who had come back from the dead? So now she is Laura Brown. Laura Zielski, the solitary girl, the incessant reader, is gone, and here in her place is Laura Brown. 1 page, she decides, just one. She isn't ready yet. The tasks that lie ahead, putting on the robe, brushing her hair, going down to the kitchen, are still too thin, too elusive. She will permit herself another minute here, in bed, before entering the day. She will allow herself just a little more time. She is taken by a wave of feeling, a sea swell, that rises from under her breast and buoys her, floats her gently as if she were a sea creature thrown back from the sand where it had beached itself, as if she had been returned from a realm of crushing gravity to her true medium, the suck and swell of salt water, that weightless brilliance. I'm afraid that's all the time I have for today. But I'll check in on you again before I leave today, okay? Are you cold? It gets a bit chilly here at night. Let's get the blanket a bit higher. There, is that better? Did you just... You're grabbing my hand. Hi. You're awake.